Alright folks, welcome to today's post. Now everybody's gone out and they've left me on my own tonight at home, so I'm going to cook what I really enjoy cooking tonight, which is a big fat ribeye steak. It's about an inch thick. There's nothing better. If you ask any chef, that's probably what they tell you they like to eat on their day off. A lot of people are scared of cooking steaks. I mean, it's something you go out to a restaurant and you pay 30 or 40 bucks for, so you think it's a big complicated exercise. It's not. Watch a step-by-step tutorial. If you're a woman out there, cook this for your boyfriend or husband or even your young sons. They'll do anything you want for a week. It's so easy, and blokes really do love it. If you're a bloke out there, do this step-by-step tutorial. You might have never cooked in your life. I guarantee you'll know how to cook the perfect steak after this. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Steak. Alright folks, why do I choose a ribeye? Because basically, if you ask any chef or anybody who knows about food, they're going to tell you that ribeye is the best steak. A lot of people, if they go into a restaurant, they'll pick fillet steak, which is by certainly the most tender, but it lacks flavour that the ribeye's got. You can get a sirloin as well. Very difficult to get a good sirloin these days. The rib is basically the inside. If you've had a rib roast in your life, this is the part of the meat that you roast with the bone taken off the end. So it's really tender, lots of flavour. Very easy steak to cook. Alright folks, we've got the steak ready to cook now. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lot of pepper on there. Now this is the key, you really want tons and tons of pepper. Don't be scared of the peppermint at all. And that's the difference between regular restaurants and cooking at home. We season food a lot, also use a lot of butter. I'm not going to use butter today, I'm going to use olive oil, which is a little bit healthier, to cook this. And that's it, that's the preparation over. Couldn't be much easier than that, could it? All we got to do now is cook it. Another thing to tell you guys before you actually start cooking the steak is the steak needs to be out for a good 15 to 20 minutes before you cook it. What's going to happen is if you take that straight out of the fridge, the steak's going to be cold right through to the centre. We're going to cook the steak medium rare today, which is when it's nice and pink in the middle. What's going to happen is if that's really cold, it's going to take a long time for the heat on the outside to penetrate into the middle of the steak, and by the time it gets in there, it's going to start overcooking. So take it out, bring the steak up to room temperature, then we're seasoning it, and now the pan's getting hot, we're nearly ready to cook. Alright, so folks, we've got the pan on. That's been heating up for about 3 or 4 minutes literally now, so it's really starting to get hot. I can feel that, there's plenty of heat in it, there's a little bit of smoke starting to rise on it. Now we're just going to pour a little bit of extra virgin olive oil over the steak, and just rub that in it. We're not going to put any oil in the pan, we're going to try and keep it as much heat in that pan as possible. So that's your steak ready to go. I can feel it, it's nice and soft, it's come up to room temperature. Perfect. Now folks, you can see the smoke starting to come out of the pan. That's the perfect time. We're going to start to get the steak in now. So it's all got olive oil on it, it's ready to go, and we're just going to drop it into the pan like that. Hear that sizzle? That's how hot it needs to be. If you don't hear that sizzle, you've gone wrong. You need to hear the sizzle. Alright folks, so as you can see here, the steak has been on for about 1 minute, and it's really hot, the pan. So we haven't taken that, we haven't moved it, we haven't touched it, we haven't done anything with it. And if I turn that over, so look at the beautiful colour on that steak. That's exactly what we're looking for. Alright folks, so all we've done is turn that steak. We're not doing anything else with it at all. We're keeping it really hot. And what's going to happen if you put that on too slow a heat is the steak's going to boil. The juices are going to come out of it, and it's just going to make the steak boil. We want a really hot heat, getting it hot on the outside, and it's going to keep it nice and moist in the middle. So guys, basically that's it. It's been on this side for another 2 minutes. And I can feel that that's getting really nice and crispy on the bottom side as well. We're going to leave it on there for about another 1 minute, and then I'll just turn it over and finish it for a last 1 minute on the other side, and that's it. That's going to be your steak cooked. That's the first part of it over. Alright folks, so it's been going for another 1 minute on there. I can see the juices starting to come out of it now. It's beautiful. See the way it's browned up on that side? I'm going to flip it over. You see how hot the pan still is? That's crucial. It needs to stay hot throughout the whole process. Cooking for another 1 minute. I'm going to pull that off the heat now, and that's the cooking stage finished. So once that's finished, we're just going to transfer it back onto our plate, and now this stage is called resting. This is going to take a couple of minutes. We're going to keep the pan there because we're still going to need that in 1 second. So we're just taking it off, and what happens when you cook a piece of meat is it gets all tense and it gets really tight. And if you've ever had a really tough steak in a restaurant, this is why. They haven't rested it properly. So we're just going to let that, and what happens when you rest it is the meat just relaxes and all the juices come back, and that's when you cut it and you get a beautiful tasty steak. This is what they've done. If you look at that, there's the beautiful juices coming out of the steak. Those are the ones I was talking about. We're not going to waste those. We're going to put them back into a pan, and we're going to reduce. Alright, so folks, I've still got my cooking pan over here, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to turn it back on, And there's still some nice heat in there, and there's beautiful little caramelized juices. When the steak cooks against the pan, it caramelizes and there's loads of nice meaty little bits in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my steak juice back in there, and that's a lovely meaty flavour. What we're making here is a very basic little gravy. So I got my meat juices, and that's starting to boil and bring the nice caramelized parts off the pan, and I'm going to add a tiny little bit of good balsamic vinegar, just a little splash. So folks, you can see that boiling up there, it's coming together, and you don't want to put that, just 30 seconds, just enough to get the nice caramelized flavours off the pan, and that's it. We're going to pour that over this. Alright folks, so our steak's been nicely rested, the meat is not tense anymore, it's beautiful and relaxed, and we're just going to pour that little sauce that we made over the top. Oh, that smells so good. Well folks, that shows you how easy it is to cook a steak. I'm going to enjoy it now, chuck in and see what it's like. Oh, it's beautiful and tender. Tell that. I'm not even using the steak now. What really makes it with the pan juices that you can bring the caramelization out and pour it over the steak. That's what makes the difference. So you see how easy it is to cook a steak. Anybody can do it.